but we had a lot of fun with it. We would play marathon games in our garage. My brother built an 8-handed poker table with leather armrests and with cup holders and all that stuff. So our house became the destination for the neighborhood gang to just come and play poker constantly. So that kind of got started. But you play wild card games, you have no idea how to play poker. You're just having fun, smoking cigars and drinking beers, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But in parallel, I was also going to Vegas a lot with both family and friends. I would, at 21, I was convinced I was going to become a professional blackjack player.
Really?
Yeah, there was. I just saw a story somewhere. I can't remember where. I think it started on a tweet. There was a book that came out in the 70s called Beat the Dealer by a guy named Edwin Thorpe. And it was about card counting and how you could, these different systems that he had that you could beat blackjack. And so all my friends decided to become card counters. We learned the little systems. I would go to Vegas, played a little plus minus system, just basically,
sure.
To boil it down to its essence, you're basically just counting tens and aces. And doing that. And then I quickly realized that if you wanted to do that, it became a job where you had to concentrate. You couldn't go there to have fun. You couldn't drink. So quickly kind of lost the edge to do that. But still loved to play. Still loved to gamble in Vegas. And so my poker life, my second poker life, kind of started in the early '80s. Went to Vegas to meet a friend who was from. He was a guy I grew up with, but was living out of town. And he was in there for whatever reason. I can't remember why he was in Vegas. But I decided to go up and join him. And he said, let's go play poker. And we were in the Desert Inn, which is now the Wynn.
Yeah.
And we played 1 to 4 stud poker. So basically, you could bet anything from $1 to $4. And you could play really cheaply. You could buy them for like $50 and play for hours, and that's what my friend was interested in. But it got me hooked again on playing cards.
Yeah.
And so I would do that. Then I decided that since I lived in LA, we had some legal casinos. They were concentrated all in one city, in the southern part of LA County. But they had casinos that offered poker, and so I started going to those things. And it was the Wild West back then, where they had there was no such thing as no limit hold'em back then. The only no limit hold'em was in the World Series of Poker that I could tell. There was only limit hold'em and stud and draw poker. They actually offered draw poker.
Wow.
where the players dealt themselves and the dealer rotated. Just ripe for some shenanigans.
Right, for sure.
But then I started playing there. I started playing poker, stud there, and then quickly kind of got curious about hold'em because my friends had always followed the World Series, even in the late '70s, like when Amarillo Slim was the name.
Oh wow.
Because we would see him on Johnny Carson, and then we knew who Doyle Brunson was. We had no idea how to play poker yet, mind you, but we knew who Doyle Brunson was. We knew who Johnny Chan was, and all that stuff. So I was aware of no limit poker, but all you could play was limit. So I started playing 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6, all the way up to. So this is in the late '80s. I started playing hold'em, limit hold'em. Had no idea what I was doing. I was a total fish, but I ran into some decent luck occasionally, as fish will do. Actually bought my first PC from a good session I had in one of the poker rooms there. So I did that a lot through the '90s, and then I decided to become responsible. I got serious with my career. I bought my first condo. Owned my own first home, and kind of got out of playing poker. For probably 10 years. So we'll fast forward to the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. Started dropping into some casinos again, and then kind of heard about online poker, and can't remember how I heard about it, and started investigating that and started playing for free money on Party Poker. This has got to be 2005, 2006. Because I was aware of the Chris Moneymaker thing, because I watched the World Series on TV and all that stuff. And so I started playing play money. Then started playing for real money, very low stakes. I never played and I played tournaments. I wasn't playing cash. The highest stake I would play would be a $2 tournament, and wasn't taking it seriously. Would play until basically I had to go to bed for work, and regardless of where I was, I would go to bed and usually just sit out and sometimes make the money, sometimes not, kind of thing. But it was fun. Then Party Poker banned U.S. players when the Wire Act first came into play.
Yeah.
But PokerStars didn't, so I moved over to PokerStars. Played there until Black Friday, and when that ended, and I was playing full tilt too. Again, all micro stakes, not knowing what the hell I was doing.
Right.
But I was the definition of a recreational player, or of a fun player. I was having fun and I could afford it. I was making good money, so who cared if I lost money playing poker? It was truly gambling. Then Black Friday happened. Kind of forgot about poker, and then 2012. So Black Friday was 2011, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. 2012. I started getting back into casinos and started playing tournament poker in casinos, which I'd never played before. And the daily ones at the bicycle kind of thing, they're $50 buy-ins, complete fish fest. And I was one of them. But somehow or another, I heard that you could still play online poker, even though Black Friday had kind of, but in my mind, legally killed it off.
Right.
And started investigating that, found out about carbon poker, and just by pure happenstance, I also decided, hey, I'm probably not very good at this, and I'd like to get better. I've always been a competitive person. I was good at every game I played at. So started investigating, training and how to get better, and found Tournament Poker Edge. And started watching their free videos and got a lot of value out of the free videos. Started kind of incorporating that. Then I subscribed to TPE and watched all the premium content, and really, it seemed to click. Started playing on Carbon Poker and Bovada. Started having some success. Felt like I knew what I was doing a bit. Then I decided to start to hire my first coach and just say, hey, listen, let's do this. Let's find a coach. Not go overboard. Don't know if don't know if it's going to be too hard, that kind of thing. But see if I can improve my game and give myself a chance to win some money. And my first coach was a guy named Danny Noseworthy, who was a pro on TPE. He goes by the name Danny N13.
Oh yeah. Okay. I know Danny N13. The Noseworthy.
Yeah.
I didn't ring a bell. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I like his videos. So he was offering a pretty decent rate for a package. He's in Nova Scotia. So I mean, it was from the time difference between Nova Scotia and LA is ridiculous. It's like 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
Literally, it's on a half hour too. Nova Scotia is absurd.
That is weird.
So I worked with him, and he's, at least back then, he was a field player. He didn't use a HUD. I think that really helped me. Taught me about positions, taught me about some short stack play and stuff like that. And I watched more videos, felt like I was doing it, and I immediately banked a $20K tournament on Carbon for like $4,000.
Oh, nice.
Back when Carbon had $20K tournaments.
Yeah.
Those were the days. So that's what got me started. And I just started playing on Carbon. Got on WPN maybe 5 years ago, something like that. I can't really remember, but I've been playing the sites ever since then. I have since Danny. I've used Bet on Drew for coaching for a few sessions. He, I use his HUD. He really, I think, taught me a lot about how to use a HUD. I've done that, and since then I've been working with Snoss and Lost,
Nice.
Jason Smith, for maybe the past year, off and on.
Yeah.
So I feel like at this point in my game that I'm certainly much better than I was 5 years ago. I think I'm much better than I was a year ago. My results are not saying that right now. I'm just kind of breaking even in the past 12 to 18 months, but I'm not losing, I guess.
Right.
So I just on a Skype group conversation I'm in with a bunch of SNOS students, I posted my BB100s numbers, and they look ridiculously good. I said, well, I don't get it. I'm not winning any money right now. And I said the only money I'm making is on ignition right now, and those stats aren't in there. But that tells me it's going to turn around.
Yeah.
I lost the train of thought that I was going to go with this. And another reason that I'm kind of motivated on that is, I'm an older player. I'm 62 years old. Your stereotypical 62-year-old poker player is the titled man, and I don't want to be that. I really wanted to learn, and I was that. That's my. I think everybody's natural instinct is to be tight in poker.
Right.
But that's a good way to be when you're first learning the ABCs of poker. But I really wanted to learn to be more aggressive. I think it helps me a lot in the live game because people look at me and they think, look at that old fart. He's a couple of times I've had quite a few people tell me that when I 3-bet, and as it happens I'm 3-betting light, they will fold, and they've told me you must have a monster there. You're just too tough. So that's always a nice feeling.
Instant credibility.
I think that takes you up to today.
I've got like so many follow-up questions. So
yeah.
Like I actually I haven't been writing down notes on any of these interviews, but I'm gonna make a couple notes here quick because like I have like 7 questions that came out of that. Wow, so much good stuff. So let's start with the World Series of Poker back in the day, right? Like nowadays we all we turn on ESPN, we turn on Poker Go, all the high rollers, is all this action, but like back in the day, you said you followed Admiral Slim and Doyle Brunson, and you followed the World Series. Like obviously things have changed what was it even like to follow that? I mean, how far back was it on TV, and like did you guys have to read like article? Like how did you stay connected to all that back then?
By follow, it means that we read about them in the newspaper.
Gotcha.
And would see them on some talk shows. Like Amarillo Slim used to regularly be on Johnny Carson.
Right.
And I think that Doyle Brunson was probably on there too.
See, I hadn't even known that those guys would be guests on there. That's really interesting to me.
They were playing for huge money back then. So the World Series of Poker started at Binion's in downtown Vegas, which I've spent a lot of time in the casinos in downtown Vegas, and you would go in and you would see the $1 million prize money that they have in their display case, and that was a huge amount of money in the mid '70s, in the late '70s, early '80s kind of thing. So that kind of attracted it. I had in as far as I could tell, it was basically, at least especially at the beginning, only the main event. They had, if not zero, very few side events besides the $10,000 buy. And it was a $10,000 buy-in from the beginning, which was a huge amount of money. So, I mean, so that gets your attention. So would follow that, and I'm sure it must have just been reading newspapers because, I mean, obviously there was no internet. You might see something in the 80s from ESPN. I can remember, I have a vague memory of them broadcasting like Stu Unger's last title, and Gabe Kaplan is doing the commentary and stuff like that.
I've got to find that. If that exists, I
could be completely misremembering that. But I know that when it was still at Binion's, they They would broadcast it, and they actually did it from Fremont Street once. And that's what, and I think that might have been the one Stu Unger one. I could be wrong, but Gabe Kaplan was definitely the commentator.
Wow.
So, and then I can also remember one time being in Vegas at the Golden Nugget. This had to be like 1985, something like that. And there was some big cash / tournament. To be honest with you, I don't know if it was a tournament or if it was just a huge cash game. But they had the table I was watching had Johnny Chan. He just had stacks of $100 bills and $500 chips. So it had to be a cash game. And they were playing this high stakes poker, and we were just railing it. And it was fascinating. So I wanted to be part of that.
Yeah. I'm getting excited even just like hearing you mention the Nugget and hearing you mention Binion's. I was out there this summer, got to see the $1 million table.
That's right.
You
said first time there.
First time, and so like I hear all that, and like I'm my mind just starts like rolling to like Vegas summer and playing out there. Like I get the excitement again.
My first trip to Vegas was 1973. It was literally Ocean's 11 territory.
Wow.
We stayed I was 17. I was underage, and they didn't care. I was playing blackjack at 17. Nobody ever asked me my ID. And we stayed at the Dunes Hotel, which is now the Bellagio. And it was a high old time. Yeah. So yeah. And then I can remember being in the Golden Egg. It was right around that time that when I was watching Johnny Chan, when they had a to scale model display of their new attraction that Steve Wynn was going to do, and it was the Mirage down on the Strip. And that was a coming attraction.
Wow, yeah, what a time! It's amazing how much all of it's evolved.
It was, and believe me, it was all a fog kind of for me. Then I was really into drinking and other substances, so a lot of it I probably don't remember.
Oh man. So we'll fast forward there a little bit to the Black Friday scene. How much money did you have online during Black Friday? Did you end up like having to get some of it back? Were there any issues in terms of like what you had on Stars and Full Tilt at that time?
No, in fact, I had very little amount. I think I had a few $100s in Poker Stars and even less than that in Full Tilt. I may have lost that in Full Tilt. It was so little. I don't remember and never bothered to try to get it. Poker Stars actually gave me my money back, as I recall.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, and it was like I said, it was like $300, something like that. I was a serious player. I wasn't going to put a lot of money on there because I wasn't a serious player, so it wasn't really an issue for me.
Nice. And you mentioned TPE, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people in here, I think, have kind of come through that road. Killingbird says, Stu Unger Final Table is on YouTube. Helmut does some commentary as well. I've got to look that up. Like, that's going to be on my list for this week. I just want to see that. I mean, I've read the story of Stu Unger, but I haven't gotten to see it.
Is it Gabe Kaplan, too? I think it is.
It might be, yeah. That sounds amazing.
And it might be Lon McCarran. He's been doing it a long time.
Yeah. That gets me excited. I didn't even know that existed. So TPE really cool. I know there's a lot of us that have come through that way. I was a TPE member coming out of the kind of post Black Friday era.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember who it was that I used to watch on there that I really like. There were a couple. I'd have to go back through the list, but there were a couple instructors on there that I just kind of really latched onto.
Well, the ones I Big Dog Pocket Finds was obviously great for entertainment. He was a good poker player.
Right.
He still is a good poker player, I'm sure. I haven't seen him around lately. But I really liked Andrew Brokos' series.
Yeah, Brokos is one of the ones I watched. Yeah.
So hand reading and value betting and stuff like that. He was really good. I still follow him on Twitter. I like Daryl Jace's. I love Daryl Jace's story of, being like an 18-year-old teenager and winning the Sunday Million on Poker Stars.
Yeah.
Like his first try.
Must be nice.
Really yeah. But I really enjoyed his videos. The Soros ones are good. I have not seen any of Jason's yet. Snodson-Loss, since he's the newest member.
Does he have some posted now?
He does.
Okay.
At least that's my understanding. But I haven't checked him out yet.
Yeah, that would be cool to see for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones on there. I've seen some of Corey's.
And I've not been on any other training site. I mean, I've done some of the free content on some of them, but I haven't pulled the trigger. And actually, it will probably not. I'm kind of at a weird point in life, career-wise, where I'm trying to sort some things out, and I'm kind of being a little tighter with I'm being more of a life net than anything else.
Sure.
When you get to 62, age discrimination kind of becomes a thing, and I think I might be experiencing a bit. I do project IT project management.
Oh wow!
The last 3 years, and I was in IT management for years, primarily in the newspaper industry. I worked at the LA Times for about 20 years in their IT department. And project managers is all on a contract basis right now, which is just fine for me. And I'm in between contracts. But at this age, you kind of think like your last job might have been your last job. Yeah. So I consider myself semi-retired, and I'm cool with that. My financial people have told me I can afford to retire if I really want to. It'd be nice to work another year, but you can afford it. So I'm not probably going to be spending my money on training sites. I would rather do one-on-one coaching nowadays. I think sure. It's kind of sounds a little arrogant, but I think I might be past training sites at the moment.
Yeah, I mean they're great inroads into the game. You can find a lot of variety on them. What's great about TPE is like if there's a particular part of your game that you're like wanting more, like there's over 900 videos. I think they may be over like 1,300 now. Like there's so many videos. Like if I'm struggling with river bets. Well, there's 15 videos on there about river bets, or I'm struggling with double barreling, whatever. So you can really like, I guess if you take ownership of your growth, you can really find the things you need to find and work on, which is really, really cool and a super, super affordable price. Yeah, the IT thing is interesting to me because when I was working for hotelreservations.com, which was out of El Segundo down there, and I was actually their head of technology.
There's a lot of tech companies down there.
Oh, it's insane. But like literally, so this is just how things work out there, and in the tech industry, things can go up and down so fast. Like we were owned by an investment group out in North Carolina who owned like 800 Taco Bells and KFCs all over the country, and for some reason bought into this company because somebody was doing a favor for somebody and was desperately trying to get us off the books. And so I moved up the corporate ladder, got to take it over. The technology was just a wreck. It was 15-year-old like coding language that was written by people in India, just garbage, right? And so we fix it up, we work it, we get it making money. Like the company wasn't even making money the last 2 years I was there. We get it in the green and they instantly sell us, right? And so we get these new owners, we don't know anything about them. They're like, hey, let's come out and talk. And I'm not even gonna get exact, I'm just gonna give you the brutal honest story. So they fly us out to LA. We get out to LA, we come to their offices. We find out that they are the same company that owns like Girls Gone Wild and Guys Gone Wild and everything else.
Well, that's their cash cow.
So
sure.
they come in, they throw a bunch of pornography videos on the table and say, "Here, free, take these home with you." One of the major shareholder owners, as he's sitting down at the table, is looking for a pen out of his pocket and accidentally throws his weed on the table. And this is before, like, that was like, I mean, like legal or anything.
Particularly in the past 9 months, everybody throws their weed on the table.
Right. Now it's commonplace. Back then it wasn't so much. And like, and again, like, at that point I'm going, okay, look, I don't have a problem with people smoking weed, but like, when the guy that runs the company accidentally throws his weed on the table, like, pulling him out of his jean pocket. Like, I'm starting to get the sense that, like, this is not looking promising. And so we spent 2 days talking about, like, teaching them the technology and, like, how we can do things and what we had gotten done and accomplished. and flew back home, and within like 24 hours, like everybody had a severance package. It was like they basically bought the company and shut it down. I assume it was kind of one of those like things in sports, right? You know, where they make the trade and you got like the star player over here and the couple star prospects over here, and then they throw this one guy in just to get him off the payroll, you know, and then they get to the other team and they immediately cut him, you know, like, yeah, we'll take that check.
It's easier for them to write it off as a loss.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they pulled us in and dumped us, and that was it. That was the end of. I mean, I'd been there for almost 5 years, 4.5, 5 years, and just like that, it ended. And I was like, alrighty then. Well, that was fun, I guess. I'm glad we worked so hard to.
Yeah, well, working in the newspaper industry, don't want to get too far off track, but back in the '80s, it was literally a license to print money. The LA Times made so much money that their travel policy was first class. So anybody who flew for travel flew first class. There was every meeting you were able to order fresh food for your meetings, and then write it off to your department expense. It was just amazing. I mean, they were just spending it left and right. And then the internet happened, and things starting in 2000, things started going south. And it's still the LA Times is still a profitable newspaper, but it's nowhere near. They used to make. I mean, newspapers, just even your small hometown daily, used to make 30% profit margins. Because it was the only game in town. You know, it was before Craigslist and all that stuff, and the classified ads was just a bonanza. So I'm used to. Through the years, since the industry has contracted, we have gone through layoffs. So I'm used to seeing new owners come in and think they know what they're doing and try these new stuff. And then 2 weeks later, everybody's fired. So
yeah.
It's just the nature of that business. It's kind of the nature of any business.
That's how I moved up the corporate ladder. So I'm quite familiar with that. Yeah, it's interesting that even the newspapers around here, like they're trying to adapt and change, and they're just struggling so hard to keep up with it. So what is it like? Like I can vaguely remember like being in my parents' car and seeing the, you know, cell phone that was like in a briefcase, like this big, and you know,
my first cell phone was one of those bricks. It was let's see, do I have anything?
It's like a walkie-talkie.
Can you see this?
Yeah.
This is one of my speakers. It wasn't quite this big, but that's pretty close to how big the cell phone was. So I was working in a newspaper in Torrance in the South Bay, and I was a system analyst at that point, and we all had, you know, rotating support duties, and whoever was on call would get the cell phone. It was like, I think it was an AT&T. And had to carry it around with them, and it was just, and nobody had internet access, even though the internet existed, and you could get internet access into your building. We didn't have it. We only had dial-up that only management could get because they didn't want to pay for it, that kind of thing. Those cell phones I remember, and then actually for years, I didn't pay for my own cell phone until about 6 years ago.
Wow.
Just because it was always just used a company one.
Yeah. So what's it been like to come from? Because I feel like I'm on the tail end of it. Like I grew up with the, you know, the Apple IIe and the Apple II Plus, and like my dad worked for the University of Illinois. He was a network administrator and architect, and did a whole bunch of networking stuff for them. So my family was kind of on. Yeah, so they were kind of on the forefront of the technology side. Like my dad was very involved in it. The U of I was very involved. They were one of the that created one of the first backbones for the internet. So is he involved in ARPANET? Yeah, I think so. So like even though I was like, you know, born in 1979, grew up through the 80s. Like I was around electronics, although they were archaic. But like, what was it like? I mean, you started in poker when literally the only poker that existed was, you know, 52 cards in a deck.
Yeah.
To come to a place where now like you can play online on 4 or 5 different sites and compete with people all over the world. Like, what has that transition been like? I mean, when you were first playing poker, I presume you never thought it would ever come to this. Like, just kind of walk me through what that's like to.
Yeah, I had no idea. Well, one caveat is I handle change well. And technology has never scared me, so I embraced it as we got. So, but I can tell you I can tell you stories forever. Like probably the first PC that I used in work was around 1985. So they were been around, but newspapers hadn't really been embracing them. And it was a DEC Rainbow. I don't know if you remember DEC computers. You ever hear of a VAX computer?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, they owned the mini computer market before PCs took over. So their tier was like not quite mainframe like IBM's, but with mini computers, and so a lot of companies had those. And they decided to come out with a PC because IBM PC had theirs and stuff like that. And it was literally it ran an operating system called CPM. And you booted it off a floppy drive. There was no hard drive, and there was 2 floppy drives, and you had one was the boot drive and one was for your data. We ran the Lotus 123 version 1.
Wow.
so I mean, it was a back office kind of stuff. Newspaper production, which is what I primarily supported through the years, the LA Times didn't electronically produce their newspaper 100% until 2004. It was just too complicated for them. They couldn't deal with it. But I can also remember, like in the 80s, so we put in a production system that was strictly writing stories on terminals, spitting out film that you would cut and paste and put on storyboards and stuff like that. So I can remember when we first started getting laptops. These were Radio Shack TRS-80s and stuff for the reporters, and we needed to connect them to be able to download their stories. We started buying 300 baud modems that were $700 a piece.
Wow! Yeah.
And to where literally you could plug it in, you could plug a PC, your laptop into the modem, and you could watch the text scroll by as it was transmitting. It was that slow.
Yeah.
And we thought it was great, but I mean, everything was so expensive. And then we got our first Macintosh computers for the graphics department, the Mac Classics, and they were like $3,000, and 300 DPI laser writers were $1,500 and stuff like that. It was just absurd how much the technology cost back then.
Yeah, I can remember. I can actually remember the first time we got to upgrade from a 1200 baud modem to a 2400 baud modem, and I thought it was like living the dream.
Yeah. I remember the first home modem I got was, I think, what's 7200 baud maybe?
Yeah.
Or 1.4, which was lightning fast. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then bad about that time is I got a PC. I was living in my condo and got onto AOL, and that was my first online experience.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say I actually was involved in like BBSs, which most people probably have no idea what a BBS was.
CompuServe?
Sounds familiar. We had a couple.
I used to buy video games from CompuServe. I would get on CompuServe, and WorldCom bought them before they melted down, and buy these stupid 16-bit video games for your PC. And then I would get a MasterCard bill for like $500 from usage and kind of stuff.
Wow, yeah. Yeah. See, you're bringing back so many great memories for me. Like, wow, like my first video game was on cassette tape. It was a flight, what do they call
simulator
it?
Thing?
Flight simulator, yeah. And you like literally had to put the cassette tape in, rewind the cassette tape, and you'd hit play. And you'd be able to fly. Like, you'd be able to fly through this area. Like, and I'm still, as much as I know technology, as much programming I've done, I'm still a little foggy on how all that worked. I mean, I assume like it read something into memory, and then like as the tape played, that like played out the course that you were flying through or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, it's just wild
something
to
like
me.
That, I'm sure.
It's just so wild to me that you had like you could actually play video games on cassette tape. And then yeah, I can remember. when graphics started getting better on computers, you could actually start playing games on computers. Like there were some times where like they would have leagues for sports games, like the football and the soccer and the basketball games, and you'd dial out. And this is back when long distance was like 50 cents a minute, $1 a minute, whatever.
Yeah.
And I racked up a few bills that got myself in trouble with my parents because I'd like, I want to play in this tournament. And you'd go play 3 games in the tournament. And you'd rack up like $80-$90 on the phone bill, because you're calling somebody long distance and, playing the game out.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. You had to quickly stop doing that. But I got into video games and PC games real big. I've always been a big gaming fan. There was a company called Sierra Online.
Yep.
A bunch of games. I remember King's Quest just had me hooked.
Yep.
On a little VGA terminal. And so I've been playing games, and I still play the game. And that's actually kind of a segue in how I got into Twitch. Is just I started watching. I keep track of gaming and stuff like that, and kept hearing about Twitch, and then somehow or another I heard about Twitch and poker. So that's how I got over there. Because I still watch some gamers on Twitch. I mean, I like to play Fallout 4, and there's a couple guys that stream that, and I watch that occasionally and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're getting into a cool realm here. I remember King's Quest, played it briefly, and then there were what 5 of them, right? Was it?
Oh, at least, and they had a bunch of other ones. They had a thing called Leisure Suit Larry. And a Space Quest, and they had just a million games. In fact, the Sierra Online story, Google it, is pretty fascinating. There's some stories out there about how the company got taken private and destroyed and stuff like that, and how they kind of missed the ball technology wise, and didn't keep up with the times, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, the whole evolution of games is just so fascinating. Like Atari's downfall and the rise of Nintendo and just like all of these different companies. I mean, Doom, like.
And I never did anything like that. I didn't play games until I had my own PC. So I wasn't a Nintendo person. I didn't play Atari. I didn't have a Commodore 64, although I remember them. And so now I've got a PS4, and I play my games on that.
So what's your favorite game of all time, and what's your favorite game right now at this moment?
I think the Bethesda games, so Fallout and Skyrim are really good. I really liked the Far Cry series, although the latest one I just kind of have not been able to get into. I know I'm missing one that I really used to enjoy. I've tried to play. It's funny. I tried to play. I bought a Call of Duty one. I think it was Black Ops when it came out, and couldn't. I had to stop playing, even trying to play it, because it gave me such headaches. I'd never been affected like that before, but that game just gave me headaches, and I just had to quit playing.
Yeah.
So I think the kind of the role playing first person shooter. Oh, I used to play on the PC before I got a PlayStation. A lot of Quake, a lot of Tomb Raider, that kind of stuff. So this was probably in the 90s. I was playing that. So
yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah, I've played the last 2 Fallouts. I haven't beaten either of them. I seem to get about halfway through the game, and then something comes up, or I get into some other game, and I lose interest, I guess. I mean, they're good games. But I like
open world games. So the one I remembered that I forgot to mention was I've played a ton of Grand Theft Auto.
Ah, yes. Not a Red Dead Redemption fan?
Oh, no, yes. I love that game, and I'm waiting for the next one, too.
Oh, my gosh.
The first one, in fact, the first one, it was a great game, but that was the only game that I played the extra online, post-game stuff where they would throw into one of the Red Dead Redemption cities, and you would have a free-for-all kind of battle royal stuff. I was playing that a lot.
Yeah.
And that was back when I had a PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
So that was fun, and I've not gotten into that type of gaming since. In fact, the ones that you do, like Fortnite and PUBG. In fact, I tried to play PUBG, but my computer just can't handle it, and it seemed I don't think it lends itself well to a PlayStation. So I haven't been playing that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm in the similar camp. Like most of the first person shooters make me really motion sick and nauseous and give me headaches.
Okay.
Fortnite hasn't, for whatever reason. I've been able to, like, the first time I played it, I got a little bit like that after about 45 minutes, but it's like worn off. And I've enjoyed Fortnite so much. I haven't played any of the other shooters, so I don't know. Like, maybe I've just gotten over it in general, or maybe there's just something about Fortnite that doesn't get me there. But yeah, there's nothing worse than when you get the headache or the nausea and you're just like,
Right.
it just feels terrible.
Who wants to play through that?
No, of course not. How do you feel about the upcoming Fallout? The Fallout, was it 76? It's supposed to be like
76?
multiplayer?
Right, and I'm not really that interested in multiplayer. I suppose I could be made interested in it if I saw it, but just have not played any multiplayer games or versions of the games that I do play. So, and I think that's primarily online too. I'm not sure if you download it onto the full game onto your PlayStation or not, but I'll check it out. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those multiplayer games where you can buy it, download it, have the disc or whatever, but you basically play online. Yeah.
Right. Far Cry wants you to do that too, and I'm just not interested in it. Yeah. Especially since another thing, with being my age and being interested in the things that I'm interested in, all of my longtime friends are people my age, and my family and stuff like that. And whenever I bring up gaming, online poker, Twitch, they all look at me cross-eyed.
Right.
To a person, they go, "You mean you stream your poker and people give you money to watch you play poker?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah."
That's a thing.
It's a thing. And they said, "What are this world's coming to?" So I would need to have a bunch of, for the most part, probably people my friends' kids' age to do the multiplayer games with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny. Even like, again, I was talking about another interview. It's like with me and my wife, it's like she'll just go to work and she'll be like, "What's your husband do?" "Oh, he's a poker player." And like they're just like, it's like deer in the headlights. They're like, "He's a what?" Like, yeah. They just like they don't have any.
Oh, he's a gambler.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, like he gets a wide range of answers, and I think my wife kind of makes some determinations about how friendly she wants to be with those people moving forward.
Well, the next question is, do you think he has a problem?
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Like surely there's something wrong there. Like, you're okay with that? Like, you married him knowing that? Like, it's funny, kind of just some of the responses you get, but yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. Like, I mean, it becomes a part of who we are, and I guess we get so used to it sometimes we almost forget like how other people view it and how other people see it. And I mean, I get it, but like, at the end of the day,
everybody's got their weird hobbies.
Right.
I mean, I have plenty of people. I know a couple of people who are huge car buffs and like to do that. Somebody opens up a car hood, I look cross-eyed. I mean, I have no idea. To my father's greatest disappointment is I had no mechanical ability with cars or with woodworking or anything like that. He always thought I was just some sort of cretin when it came to that, and he was right. I mean, I just had no interest. I was a math guy. I'd rather read and do math problems than work on a car and get dirty.
Yeah. So circling back to the poker for a bit, how do you feel about seniors events? Have you ever played them? Do you, like, for example, my mom, when I was talking to her about Vegas this summer, I'm like, "You need to go play seniors events." And she's like, "Why don't you go play seniors events?" And I was like, "Well, they're super soft." And my mom instantly got offended. She's like, "First of all, old people can do everything that young people can do, and we're just as smart as you, and we have some creativity and some knowledge." Like, she just like jumped off the deep end on me about how, like, she just took it as a really big insult. And I'm like, "Mom, I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm just saying they're the softest tournaments out there." And that just made her even more mad. So, like, so I had to walk her through, like, there's a lot of people who are retired. They've got a lot of expendable income. They're just there to play fun. They're not playing seriously. I had to walk through all these things. But, like, what's your take on seniors events? Have you played them? Do you like them? Like, just kind of walk us through that whole realm.
So yeah, I've played the World Series of Poker senior event 3 times. Played it this past year. Actually, this past year was this year was the first time I sold action to my not only that, but some other tournaments. Yeah, they're soft. The problem with the World Series of Poker senior event, I don't know that I'll play it again. Talk to me in a month. I may change my tune. It's just too big a field yeah, they're soft, but they're just a minefield to get through, and you're only starting with 5,000 chips. And the first time I played it, you only started with 3,000 chips.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was, and I think the first level was 25-25. So I haven't cashed any of the 3 times I played, but I played a couple senior events. Besides that, at Golden Nugget, if it's during the same time, cashed once, didn't cash this past time. I ran so ridiculously bad the first 2/3 of this last trip, where I just kept getting huge hands and running into bigger hands. And so, yeah, they're soft. I suspect that, although I've not played any other 1,000 or 1,500 event, bracelet event, that those are pretty much as soft, relatively speaking. And another thing with the seniors event, you're starting to get some good players who are seniors event eligible.
Yeah.
And pretty soon they're going to be I guess the 20-year-olds are still going to be much better than the 50-year-olds, but today's sharks are going to be seniors in about 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're going to be playing.
Yeah, true. I didn't Helmuth. Is Helmuth old enough now? Did he play in a seniors event?
Yeah. I mean, he won it in '89, so I think he was 21 or 2 when he won it. So yeah, I think he turned 50 this year, if I remember.
I was gonna say, I thought I remembered seeing that he played in a seniors event this year. So yeah, I think that's a very interesting dynamic.
Look at one double geek, a crusher like that is eligible for the seniors now.
He is. Yeah, I know. He's been dying to play. He's talked about going out there. He didn't make it out there this year, but I think it's on his list for sure. Talk about the LA poker scene. I've been out to LA, several times now, but I've never made it to the Commerce or the Bicycle or any of that stuff. Like, just walk us through, like, for those of us that have played poker maybe in Vegas or out on the East Coast or Midwest or whatever. What's it like? What's the LA poker scene like?
Okay, so non-Indian reservation casinos, there's about 5 major ones in LA County. There's the Bike, there's Commerce, there's Hollywood Park, there's the Larry Flint's casino. Actually, there's one next to that called the Lucky
Larry
Lady.
Flint has a casino?
Larry Flint has 2 casinos in Gardena. Gardena was the city that originally was the only city that offered poker and casinos. That's where I started playing. And that's in the southern part of LA County. 2 of those original ones have been bought by Larry Flint, and I haven't been in them since. I assume they've been upgraded, and I know they play tournaments. And then there's one in Hawaiian Gardens, which is closer to where Drew is, out on the border of LA County and Orange County. The 2 main ones are Commerce and the Bike. And I don't play there nearly as much as I used to, particularly since I'm mostly an online player now. But I used to go there. That's where I would play a lot of Limit Hold'em back 30 years ago. And then through the years. And now I will play, there's an WPT series at the Bike going on right now. I'm considering going over there Saturday, because there's a $100K, $350 buy and $100K that I may fire. But they're big casinos. Other than Vegas, they're probably as big a card room as you'll find, I guess. I mean, especially Commerce. Commerce is a huge card room. And I actually like Commerce. I prefer Commerce both for cash and tournaments. It's just a better play. Seems to be better run. Their rake is better on cash games. In the low buy-in cash games on the Bike, the rake is kind of ridiculous. They'll take a rake, like $1 rake on a $6 pot. Oh, geez. Yeah. If you get into a bigger pot, they'll cap it. I think at 10%. I can't really remember. But the LA poker scene is kind of, the live poker players are horribly bad as a rule. I know in their daily tournaments, they're they literally are donkaments. I haven't played one in a while, but back when I was still a fish, I was playing them. I should just do it just for fun. But their cash games are are pretty interesting too. 20 years ago, they used to seem to have a real problem with players, particularly drunk players, abusing dealers. Where in Lim and Hold'em, where regs would get sucked out on by some guy, and they would throw their cards at the dealer and shout at the dealer.
Oh, geez.
And wouldn't get penalized a lot of times. I mean, it was just, I just felt so bad. I don't see that nearly like I used to. I'm sure it still happens occasionally.
Right.
But it's really nice, especially since they went to non-smoking a long time ago. It used to be everybody, you could smoke in those casinos, and everybody had to have their own little personal stand at the table to blow away the smoke. And now, so the environment's good. So they're nice places to go to. They're both the Commerce and Bike are about a half-hour drive from me on no traffic, probably 45 minutes with traffic.
Wow. So it's a little bit of a hike, and then you got to park and get in.
Yeah, you got to go out of your way. You have to go out of your way. You can't just walk across the street to it from where I live.
Right.
But it's close. It's not a 3-hour drive to Vegas.
True. Yeah. So you're being out in California. Like, it's interesting. Like, when I talk to people about like the online gaming scene and the evolution of online poker and how states are starting to legalize, and like living in Illinois, like I'm not a political guy. I don't really I'm not like Republican or Democrat. I kind of keep up on the news, and I mean, you're around enough, you're going to have an awareness. And so like in our state, there's an awareness that just everything is corruption here. Like, it's just, I mean, I think our last 3 governors now are in prison. Literally,
Chicago,
and like,
Chicago.
Right. So like, it's not hard. Like, you don't have to be involved in politics to understand the scene. And like, it's interesting, like you're seeing a shift in Illinois because of all the greed and everything. And now that, Michigan is sniffing around poker, and Pennsylvania just passed poker, and like,
is Illinois talking about it?
Yeah. They're starting to get, it's kind of that thing. Like, well, we don't want to be the last one in and lose money to all these neighboring states type thing. And so there's some hearings coming up. Like, I think the ground is fertile. Like, I think it's going to be within the next year or two, Illinois is going to come around. And obviously with the state compacts and everything, Illinois is a state that brings a lot of value there, because we have, I think it's the 4th or 5th. I think Pennsylvania is the 5th. I think we might be the 4th largest state population wise. So like California, like I keep up on all the states just a little bit, because I'm watching the overall climate. And California has to be the messiest state when it comes to online poker of any of the states out there. You've got all the tribal stuff and all. I mean, it's insane. It's hard to keep up with. You being out there, I assume if I've got a kind of better feel for what's going on here, you probably have a better feel. What the heck is going on in California? Are you guys getting online poker in the next couple of years? Is it a pipe dream? Like, kind of give us an idea for what the climate is out there.
Well, I'm not holding my breath. And to be honest with you, I have not really heard much this year, but I was kind of following it. And I'm no expert, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, yeah, you kind of touched on it. You've got the tribes who have casinos, brick and mortar casinos, and you've got the racetrack operators who want in on this as well. And my understanding is they're the ones fighting over who gets to host the regulated online poker environment. And the state's involved because they want the tax revenue.
Of course.
I suspect they don't really, you boil it down, they don't really care who wins the contract, for lack of a better term, as long as they're getting their revenue, which is fine. I mean, the state needs the revenue. I mean, I think it would be awesome if we had online poker and we're contributing to state coffers. But caveat, I'm a tax and spend liberal. But they've been fighting. I mean, the racetracks are kind of like the newspaper industry of gambling. It's a dying industry. They would love to get slot machines and casino type gaming into their facilities if they could. And online poker is a way to do that. And the reservations have the same thing. Nobody, as far as I know, there's no talk of some sort of independent operator coming in like PokerStars owning their own operation, and you know, and coming into California to do online poker. If it happens, it's going to be one of those two, the way I understand it, contracting out to groups like PokerStars and 888 and that kind of thing to actually do the operations where they take their cut. So I don't know where it's at. I have to look it up. I haven't Googled it, and like I said, I'm not holding my breath. It would be awesome because California has a huge pool.
Right.
It would dwarf the rest of the country on a state by state basis.
For sure.
So you know, so there could in theory be some juicy guarantees, a huge pool. You know, you could really have a nice online poker experience. And it would probably kill off the WPNs and
yeah.
Carbons of the world.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I'm always like kind of keeping an eye on that stuff, because I feel like there's a tipping point where enough states are going to get on board and these other sites are really going to start to struggle because they're going to lose.
It sure seems like not in any near future are we going to get a federal solution.
No, it's going to be state by state.
Right.
But the dominoes are starting to fall. Like every state that passes and with, again, now that they've got this compact where multiple states can play together, like the clock's ticking. Essentially, the way I see it, the clock is ticking.
Right. If they could legalize California and then they could team up with other states, that would be pretty awesome.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
And that's, you know, it certainly makes sense. So I don't know why they haven't even done it yet. And I'm not sure what the holdup is. I mean, I guess it's just pure greed from all the parties, but you know, there's money to be made there.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask. Like, when it comes to because the race and dog,
there's money to be made.
The horse and dog tracks have a lot of clout here too in Illinois, and I don't get it. So like, I don't like. Were they like really? Was it like the premier way to gamble back in the day? I mean, were they prominent?
It was the only way to gamble back in the day.
Okay.
You had horse racing. You had these card clubs in Gardena that I really didn't know about until I was an adult, but they'd been around for a long time. There's an old movie from the 70s called California Split. You should watch. It's a Robert Altman movie with Donald Sutherland and Elliot Gould, and it's about gambling in California. And they go into Gardena, and they go to Reno, and they go to the racetracks. It's kind of fun. So that aside, tracks were the only really way to gamble, and there was three major tracks in Southern California. There was Santa Anita, Hollywood Park, and Del Mar down in Orange County, San Diego County. And they worked out rotation where one track was open at any given time, and then they would, rotate down to the next one. And that literally was the only way to gamble. You could either go to the track or find a bookie to bet on horses. There was sports betting too. I know there was, but I never really got into that, so I didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But that was still you had to go through a bookie or go to Las Vegas to do sports betting. And even back when I first started going to Vegas, there was no sports betting in the casinos. You had to go to an off-strip place, dingy place to do any kind of sports betting.
Right. Yeah.
So there was that, and they made tons of money. I mean, you know how tracks make their money. I mean, they're pari-mutuel betting. They have in theory, no interest in the outcome of a race. They're just taking 15% off the top of every bet. So it was a great way to make money. And in fact, the city that Santa Anita was in, Arcadia, which is right next to the city I grew up in, that they were always considered the richest city in the San Gabriel Valley where I grew up, because they got all this horse track revenue.
Yeah.
They got the local government. So that was it. And they're still a player, although Hollywood Park has closed down. That's where they are building the new Rams football stadium. Horse racing has died enough that Southern California couldn't support 3 racetracks anymore.
Yeah, because they've definitely have been influencing things here for a long time, and I think that they're finally starting to lose enough clout.
Sure, I think Arlington is the big track in Chicago, right?
Yeah, even like the slot machines here, like it took a long time for them to get the slot machines passed because the horse track people wanted their cut of it, and it's so weird to me that I can drive literally a block to my local gas station, and I can fire up some slots. But I can't play on PokerStars. Like it blows my mind that's. I mean,
you can buy a lottery ticket.
Right? Exactly.
you can bet horse racing here in LA from your television.
Yeah. Yeah, they even have online lottery here now. Like I can actually buy.
But you can't play poker.
I can buy Powerball from my computer, so it's just it's so hilarious. But I think it's coming inevitably, but I am watching it because like if just say the dominoes fall to where California does pass before Illinois does, like it's gonna have an impact. I think you're dead on. Like I think WPN, Bovada, like these sites are gonna struggle. And
yeah, it might take the next recession. In that the state coffers are doing pretty good right now, so there's not a real impetus to I think to do online poker. That's just my pure speculation. But yeah, eventually it'll come. I may not live to see it.
So
or be in mental shape enough to take advantage of it.
Another California political question for you.
Okay.
In our lifetime, are we going to see California be 4 states, and which state would you be in if that went down?
The last I heard was a proposal. I think that 3 states, so I'd be whatever they call the southern one. I can categorically say that'll never happen.
Okay.
Never going to happen.
All right.
It's in the pantheon of dumb ideas. It's one of the dumbest.
It's just clickbait.
It's just California is by and large, at least for the past 20, 30 years, has been fairly blue state.
Yeah.
Although we've elected plenty of Republican governors. And it's because the population, we have 2 big population density areas, one in Los Angeles, one in San Francisco, that's probably 90% Democrat. The rest of the state is fairly conservative.
Right.
And when you hear talk about the state splitting up, it's because they want to basically carve it up into 2 conservative areas and one liberal area kind of thing. This is not going to happen.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Illinois is similar in that thing. It's like Chicago and the rest of the state, and Chicago is so huge that like literally, I mean, Chicago is 60, 70, 80% of the population here. So it's kind of funny that land-wise,
the west coast of LA, the west coast of California is where all the population is. It's typically, Democratic leaning, and then from probably, if you know your geography, from the 101 highway east is primarily more conservative.
That's really interesting. It's interesting how that works for sure. So transitioning back to your stream, talk about where the whole KasperGutman thing. Well, actually, before we get to KasperGutman, walk me into like what was the thing that, I mean, I know you said you checked out Twitch, you saw some streams on there, but like what was the thing that the event or the moment where you decided like, I don't just want to watch poker streams, I want to have a poker stream?
That's a great question, and I don't know if I really have a good answer. One answer is I did it just because I could. I wanted to try it out. So I got in, I started watching Twitch poker, and I actually was like one of the first Twitch mods for Jamie Staples' stream before it took off.
Wow, that's interesting.
I saw some internet article about Jamie Staples, might have been in Wired, something like that. I don't know. And I started watching, and I liked the stream, and I immediately saw that Twitch is a great platform to if you're interested in poker and interested in becoming better in poker. It's a great learning tool to just watch guys, and there's great entertainment value. So watch that, and then Killing Birds started doing it. I consider him one of the early streamers, really, not the extreme earliest, but before poker on Twitch really took off. I started watching him, and I knew Derek from TPE. We had met once in Vegas during the World Series of Poker.
Nice.
So I had a vested interest in just watching his stream, and it looked fun. And then I just I was trying to get better in poker, and I thought there's literally no expense in almost literally no expense in getting a setup to do Twitch, because I already had a PC that was good enough to do it. I had a webcam for Skype sessions that was already good enough. I had a gaming headset that I'm wearing now, although it's getting pretty beat up. And I need to replace it. So I didn't have to invest in anything really to do Twitch. I thought let's see what happens, and maybe it'll make me. I tend one of the big leaks in my games. I tend to lose focus playing poker because I'll start surfing the internet.
Get bored, yeah.
Watching Twitch can do that too. I'll pay attention to somebody's stream more than I'm paying attention to my tables. I thought, well, maybe this will make me focus a little better. Let's see what happens. And let's just see, is somebody actually going to follow me? Is somebody actually going to donate money to me? I mean, that just made zero sense. So I just started doing it. What have I been doing? Maybe it's been about a year and a half now since my first stream, and I don't do it very often. I stream at most, it seems. I probably average maybe a tad under once a week. I should be doing it more now, especially now that I'm basically not working. But it was for fun. It was for the experience. When I was younger, I always dreaded getting up in front of an audience and speaking, with a microphone, that kind of thing. So it was kind of an overcome your fears of public speaking kind of thing.
Yeah.
I still don't think I particularly do it very well. I've mentioned before, and I've heard that everybody has this, but I hate the sound of my own voice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I cannot watch myself on Twitch. The only time I ever watch myself is just to make sure the volumes are right, and I'm not drowning myself out with my music and stuff like that. And I've enjoyed, speaking of music, I've enjoyed the compliments I get on the music that I stream. I've just got a Pandora station that things I've done through the years that people seem to like. So that's fun. And I think it has helped my game to stream. You're certainly opening yourself up to ridicule when you don't play a hand particularly well. Although I'm doing that now with the group Skype sessions. There's nothing more humiliating than having a hand history being reviewed by your peers.
Yeah.
Even one where you won. I mean, because typically you're not viewing history that you busted before the money.
Right.
Those are the ones who probably should be reviewing more often because we're not being luck boxes. So I think it's helped, and I kind of enjoy it. Like I said, I don't do it very often. I should do it more. I'm enjoying this interview, where you'd have been able to see the sweat drip off my face 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was cool listening to Chat Revoked yesterday talk about how, he even took it to as far as like just social anxiety and being in social situations and streaming.
Yeah, I was watching it and my ears pricked up when I heard that. It sounded a little bit more extreme, towards the agoraphobic spectrum than I have, but not quite there. But yeah, I bet it, and I'm sure it's helping. That speaks to you want to get better at something. Go out and do it, even though you may not enjoy doing it, because you might enjoy it. Even if you don't, you can just drop and say, "Hey, I did it."
Yeah, for sure. It's really cool. All the people. I was even talking to Drew last night about it when we were playing some Fortnite. And it's like, because it's the same thing with him. Like, there's a lot of people that's really had a positive impact for. And it's not one you necessarily would think of. Like when you see Twitch, like when you first think of Twitch or you come to Twitch, you don't think of it as being that kind of tool that can help people step outside the box. But it's really cool that's been the case. So yeah, talk to us about where the whole KasperGutman thing came from and how that came to be.
So I wanted a persona that wasn't M. Liedman, and I'm an old movie buff, and thought this actually comes from trying to think of screen names for your poker site. You saw me on your PokerStars home game. I'm Sam and Franny. Those are the names of my two dogs at the time.
Right.
When I created the account, and I didn't want to do a dog's name, kind of thing. So I enjoy a really clever screen name when somebody comes up with it on the poker sites. And a couple people did ones that. James, he's an ex-TPE pro. I'm blanking on his name. Sorry, dementia's kicking in.
KB will know.
He's Riverman 123.
Okay.
Was his TPE name, and was a he had a screen name from The Big Lebowski, and I just got a kick out of it because it was an obscure character in The Big Lebowski. I got it, other people wouldn't, and so it kind of gave me a kick. So I wanted to do something like that. So Casper Gutman is a character name from a Humphrey Bogart movie called The Maltese Falcon, which is a great book, by the way. One of my favorite authors is a guy named Jesus, I can't remember any names right now. But he created the Sam Spade character. Jesus, I'll think of it as soon as we hang up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure.
It's a great detective story. Humphrey Bogart was a star, and Casper Gutman was the Sidney Greenstreet character. I think you may hear his name once in the movie, so you wouldn't remember it.
Oh, nice.
And I think until just recently, I was using the picture of Sidney Greenstreet as my avatar in a lot of places. Now that I've got my own from Twitch, I use that. So that's how I came up with it, just because it was kind of cool. People who get it, it's like an inside joke kind of thing. I know that means they're a movie fan. So that's kind of the genesis of that.
Nice. Is there any significance to the?
Sense?
Yeah, for sure. Is there any significance to the Pocket Kings in your logo, or does it just happen
only because Casper started with a K, and that
nice.
is the way that they spelled it in the movie credits was Casper with a K.
Nice.
I didn't want to be Casper like Casper the Ghost.
I didn't know if it was like your favorite hand. I was kind of curious. Like, do you have a favorite hand? Is there a hand that you prefer to play over the others?
Favorite hand. It's funny. I've always kind of liked King Jack suited, and for no particular reason. And probably because I've had some decent luck with that. But that was back in that affinity for that hand came before I knew anything about poker too. So. Nowadays, my favorite hand is pocket aces. I mean,
yeah,
who doesn't want pocket aces?
Right. So what are your long-term aspirations for poker? I mean, for poker for you, obviously, there's a lot of entertainment value to it. Obviously, at the same time, you take it seriously. You're trying to grow your game. Is the goal more to like better yourself and to have a skill level that you're proud of and to be able to turn what started as a hobby into something that can bring in some extra income? Is it more competitive based? Do you have aspirations of winning a bracelet someday or winning a big score or whatever? Like what, as you kind of look at your poker future, like what are your top goals? Like what are you really aiming for?
The answer is yes.
All the above.
In a lot of ways, yeah. So, like I said, I'm semi-retired. I'm at the stage in my life that, when you guys get here, you'll understand. You can see further out, only so far out in the horizon where you're going to be, viable mentally and physically. You finally, you're starting to see the end game possibilities. So, I want to keep as mentally active as possible. I'm very competitive. I want to improve my game. I do want to supplement my income. My goal, and it doesn't look like I'm going to make it this year, is to get 5K in profit.
There's a lot of time left, Casper. There's a lot of time.
I need to step up the volume if I want to make the amount of money that you can talk about in poker, or get lucky and just think, like this tournament Saturday. If I win a 100K tournament for 20K, that would be awesome too.
Sure.
But no, I want to improve my game. I love the fact that even at my age, at my level of success, which is not that much. I mean, like I just mentioned the other day, if you take a look at my shark scope, it looks like the graph of the stock market crashed to 29. I mean, it just goes straight down. But having said that, I still feel like I'm in the top 10% of players.
Yeah.
Problem is there's a whole bunch of players still better. So I want to improve. I would love to be able to supplement retire income with that. I need to get better, and like I said, play more volume. I just feel like the coaching that I've gotten it's been leaps and bounds improving my game. I'm getting so much more value in pots now that I wasn't getting 8 months ago.
It's huge.
Um,
Yeah.
that and I guess it's just a lot of improvement is just, taking the next step. I learned to become a good basic player. I learned how to become positionally aware, and then I learned how to be stack aware, how to play a short stack. Now I'm learning. I feel like you're never all the way there, and I'm nowhere. And it would be arrogant of me to say that I've solved pre-flop, but I feel like my pre-flop game is not too bad. Now I need to improve my post-flop game, and SNOS is really starting to help doing that. And that's where the extra value in pots is coming from, is in post-flop play. Still a lot of the tournaments we play on the unregulated sites are so shallow stack-wise that pre-flop and short stack is probably the most important thing you need to learn.
Right.
To have a modicum of success at those sites. And then with a little luck, you can bink some big tournaments, not knowing very much about post-flop poker.
Yeah. It's interesting. So much good stuff out of that. Like, for starters, like you talked about the graph going down, and like I've been frustrated. I've been in a downswing probably for about 2.5 weeks now. And I was like, man, because 2.5 weeks is a long downswing for me, because I play so many like 100-man and 80-man and 120-man tournaments. Like I really target.
Oh, okay, I've not realized that. You play a lot of sit and goes?
Well, they're not sit and goes. I target the tournaments on the line that have small fields. Because I'm trying to limit my variance. So like I try to play like the large field tournaments. I try to make about 10% of my play overall. In an effort to reduce the variance, and I guess sometimes like when it's going good, like because I can, like when that plan's going well, week in week out I'm making money, and so I get spoiled by that. And then when I get to a chunk where the variance just doesn't work and I don't make money for 2 weeks, it feels like I've been in a downswing for 2 years, and so I start feeling bad for myself. I start feeling sorry for myself. I'm frustrated, and then I bring Snost and Lost on, and he starts talking about his 6-month downswing, and then you pay for my shoes, who was in my stream the last 2 days for a little while. Irene
just crushes it.
Right. But after her win, she won the $22.60K on Sunday, and I was in Geeks Discord, and Count Joe Money, who's a good friend of all of ours, he's like, yeah, take a look at her shark scope before her win, and it was like, it goes up, and it's going up, and it's going up, and then there's this like massive like sled hill for like
plummet,
just for like 2 months, like this huge like 10K downswing before she won that 14K, and I'm like, okay, so it's not just me, right? Like like those things do happen, and it's
and that lady.
And she's insane. Yeah.
You see the screenshot she tweets out. It's like a parody of a poker player screenshot.
Yeah.
She has so many tables up. I'm awestruck by how she can do that.
Super talented. So like, if the players at the top are having those sleds, like we're gonna have them too, and so like it's part of the game, and you just like James
Lambert. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I continually underestimate the power of variance in those spots.
And I think one of the problems I have with WPN is I played primarily nothing but huge fields, because because you can play a $5 10K on Sunday, and in a $20 60K, but they get 5,000 runners. So I just have not had much success. I don't want to say luck on that side. Where I've had, I'm a winning player on Carbon and Ignition. So what I've been doing lately is I have moved most of my my action over to Ignition. Carbon, I'm actually kind of on a downswing the last couple of months, but they just don't have any games anymore.
Yeah, the volume is really small over there.
There's like 3 tournaments that I want to play a day on there.
Yeah.
Where Ignition has for a low stakes player like me, I think Ignition offers a lot of value.
Yeah.
You have to put up with the no sync breaks. You have to put up with the anonymity. I think anonymity actually is good because people blast off when they're anonymous. And they have some quirky software too. But I think what I need to do, and one of the other things that I do, which is kind of selfish and probably shouldn't be doing, it's too nitty, is I've managed to go without depositing onto any site for about the past 2.5 years.
Wow. I can't say that.
Well, you probably withdraw
and
keep a fairly low bankroll on your side, knowing that you can put it back on. I've been doing a thing where I will withdraw some money, but I try to keep a baseline of my stakes at 100 buy-ins kind of area whenever I do withdraw. Although, in the past week I actually made it wasn't a pure deposit onto ACR. I did it through a player-to-player, but I used some of my non-poker bankroll, and I should probably be ready to do that more. I mean, I can afford it. It was kind of a personal thing that I enjoyed being able to say, that really doesn't lack any meaning other than that.
Right.
So I need to put in more volume. It's interesting, I'm for some personal stats. I'm a single person, never been married, have no kids. It's funny, none of my siblings that are still alive have kids either. I'm kind of the last male in my family.
Oh, wow.
Name. But all I have really is either a job if I get a contract, and my 2 dogs. But even that,
2 dogs count as kids. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's funny. It's hard to and they need to be walked every day, and so like I try to schedule my poker schedule around that. They're getting up there. Maybe when one of them goes, I'll be able to knock on wood, that doesn't happen. Something or if my situation changes, I'll put in more on. But I need to find the time to do that.
Yeah.
Probably when I may next year. It's either going to be next year or the year after, where I start going on Social Security. I may devote more of my time to poker, but I'm also a little bit afraid that I'm wasting a little bit of time to do that too, and maybe I should do it now.
Right. Yeah. No time like the present, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask this.
But I sure would like to run a little better before I make the commitment. Right
well,
now,
yeah, sure. It's always nice to do that after some big score, right? You hit some big score and you feel better about things. I mean, it's just
well, every time I've had a decent score, both and it's only decent. So like my biggest online score has been a couple 4K scores wins on Carbon. I've had a handful, dozen or so of 3-figure scores or less than that. And I've had a couple 4.5K, 5K scores live in my life. I've won a few tournaments in Vegas, and one here in LA. Smallish tournaments where 4,500 was the first place pool.
Yeah.
So the next time I do it, the next one I get, I won't. I'm telling myself, and you can hold me to it. Is I'll use that as my bankroll.
Yeah.
For sure. Otherwise, I mean, I am not living on welfare, and like I said, my advisor told me I can afford to retire, so I can afford to play poker, especially at the stakes I'm playing. So I just need to bite the bullet and commit myself to it.
Variance is such a funny thing. Back in the PokerStars days, PokerStars had a tournament on Sundays called the Sunday Storm, and it was like an $11 buy-in. It was like anywhere from like
2 million runners.
Yeah, it started at like 10,000, and then it went up to 15, and then it pushed 20. And I played it one day, and it must have been like 14 hours I played, and I went out 17th for like $600. And I just remembered telling myself, I'm like, I'm never playing this tournament again. Like, I just literally like played for 13 hours. I won all my flips. I got kings in against aces and won. Like, I had like the dream run, and I took 17th. Like, there's no way I'm ever winning this tournament or going deep in it. And so like I literally told myself I was never gonna play that again. And then for some reason, like 6 weeks later, I decided to just hop into it, and ended up taking 4th. And actually, I took fourth because I was trying to get these guys to do a deal four-handed because we were all really short, and nobody wanted to make a deal. And the very next hand, I got 8s in against 6s, and the guy binked the 6 and busted me. And then they made a deal 3 ways after that. So it was like, come on, right? Like, you lose the 80-20, and then they made him make a deal. But, like, it's just, like, it's crazy, right? You just don't know.
It's a guy, there's one guy who doesn't want to make a deal, and then he busts the next.
Yeah. It was the opposite. Like, I wanted to make the deal, and then I busted. But, I mean, hey, it was a 5-figure score, so I couldn't complain too much about getting to that point. But you just don't know. You don't know. Like, you don't know when your days are going to be. You don't know when you're going to enter that little $5, 3,000-person tournament. It's just going to be your day. I mean,
and I had just a great December where I binked I had a few small. I had probably for me a lot of final tables, something like 10 in a month, based on my volume. That's something like 12% of all my tournaments I final tabled, which I think is at least as good for me. But I binked the Carbon Sunday major, the $15 one, and so it was a great December. That was something like $1,900. And then January kind of kept it going. Had a good January, and then but like April up through now has been either slightly down or very break even, which not that bad.
No,
but
no.
I'm not making money.
No, because you're one score from being in a great spot.
Yeah.
Maringly Dink, I'm going to say that carefully. Thanks for the biddies earlier. I appreciate it. All right, so this next question, I hope it doesn't come across in a negative way or anything. But when I run into older people, I always like to ask this question. See, that's why I got to be careful, right? Because
no, I love it because I get it. I mean, I can still remember looking as an 18-year-old at all those older 30-year-old women.
Yeah.
So it's a relative thing.
Because I look back now in my life where I'm at now. I'm going to be turning 40 next year, and it's like, my gosh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm a horrible judge of ages. I would have said you were already over 40.
No, that's okay. No, so like I turn 40 next year, and it's because of the hair. If I shave my face like for a week, I'll look younger. But neither here nor there.
Yeah, die in the beard.
Yeah, right, exactly. So if I look back at my 20s, like there's just so many things I wish I had known back then. So many things that would have helped me be smarter. And well, yeah, right, exactly, right. So when I run into older people, I always like to be like, all right, for people that are in this stream who are in their 30s, or like we get a lot of people in our stream, they're probably in that 30 to 40 age range. Like, what are the things you look back on and say, like, if I'd known this at 30, 35, 40, I'd be in a lot better shape now? Or like just the things you wish you could have known back then that we could learn.
From a life perspective.
All of the above. You hit it from both. Like, just help us, like, learn from some of your experience and kind of what you learned. Like, for people that are in our spot, like what. I mean, again, I hate to say yours, ours, like it's a us versus them thing or anything like that. But just, I mean, again, like I always love to get that perspective.
And certainly don't look at me for any kind of role model. I mean, I'm as big a fuck up as anybody out there.
No, that just means you've learned more, though, right? Like, because at the end of the day,
well, I've lived to tell about it. That's one of the good things.
We learn more from our failures than we do our successes, right? So, like, if you've screwed up, I'm even more interested in what you have to say.
So I'll start off with one of my favorite lines is from a movie. Like I said, I'm a movie buff. Youth is wasted on the young, and no truer words were ever written, because. People in their 20s, I'm as guilty as the rest of them. I thought I knew it all. I was going to live forever, and I was just going to have fun. So from a personal perspective, I'll go back even a little further and stop me if I start rambling.
No, go away. Go for it.
All my life, particularly until I kind of went off on my own, I was the smartest guy in the room. Through school, at home, with all my friends, I was always the smart one. Things just, learning just came easy. I was reading, so I was reading at a 12th grade level in first grade. I skipped second grade, which was actually one of the worst things that could happen to anybody, because I had to make all new friends, all that stuff.
Right.
But that's going down a different path. So things came easy, and then my family situation was one where my family was never very well off financially. So they told us right up front, hey, you want to go to college? You have to pay for it. And by being smart and things coming easy, I also tend to get really lazy and take things for granted. So I never really applied myself in high school. And in fact, I deliberately dumbed my test scores down in high school so that I wouldn't put into the gifted classes, because I wouldn't be with any of my friends.
Right.
So long story short, never went to college. I'm not a college graduate. Just started working out of high school. If I had if I knew what I knew now, I could have easily got into a school and become. I consider myself having a fairly successful career, but it also was an extremely late starting career. My career didn't take off till I was like 35. So I would have started a lot earlier. Same thing in poker. If I had been paying attention, I'd have gotten into poker a lot earlier, and I've gotten better a lot earlier. So that now, obviously, you never stop learning, but I think I'd be in a better position. Either that, or I'd be tired of it and already be on to the next thing. But I don't really see that coming either. Did that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I relate to it a lot. I actually
so advice I would give to people.
Yeah, go ahead.
A couple things. One is that don't be nothing. Don't just be a party animal in your 20s like I was. Although I had a hell of a time. Learn to be respectful. Be kind to everyone. I never had a problem with that when I was younger, but I think that really is something that people need to strive for. Have your educated opinions and viewpoints. Be willing to listen to somebody else, even though you may never be persuaded, and don't ridicule them. You can ridicule your people who have politics you really don't like in private, but just don't do it in public or face to face. And one of the biggest things that I learned was to pick, especially at work, is to pick your battles. You can't tilt at every windmill and be successful. Learn how to compromise. So that's kind of it.
Nice. I like it. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I look back and there's so many, I've screwed up so many things in my life. and every one of them have helped me be who I am today. Like I don't think I'd know as much as I know or be able to apply as much as I apply. Well, I'd be as good a poker player as I am. And I'm not saying I'm like the end all be all when it comes to poker or anything like that, but just like I think a lot of the screw ups have helped me form my game, in all honesty. Like I've had to learn some discipline. I've had to learn how to grow and fall down and get back up, right? I mean, you have to do that a million times in poker, and if you can't do it in life, you're not going to do it in poker.
And another thing I would say is, if you have a sense of, if you don't have a good sense of humor, develop one. If you do, if you do have one, hone it. It really helps. Occasionally you'll get in trouble, but I mean, I almost always, in every situation, even in job interviews, go for the joke, and it really, I think it really helps a lot more than it hurts.
So let me ask you this as we wrap up here.
I mean, know what types of jokes to tell, obviously.
Right. So Killingbird, this will be a good segue out. Killingbird had posted a tweet.
I was thinking, I thought of that before I said what I just said.
Yeah. So what advice would you have for him? And I think we should like maybe make it a beach house thing. Like we'll have to find maybe like a local club that's got like a stand-up night, and we could all go and like take turns going and just embarrass ourselves. But like what advice would you have for KB?
So I have almost no personal advice. But this is very interesting to me in that, like I said, I've always been afraid of getting up in front of a microphone. The last thing I want to do is get up and do stand-up comedy.
Sure.
But I happen to know a couple people who are previous professional comics. And I haven't reached out to them yet, but I told KB I would to get some tips from them. I suspect they're going to tell me, number one, don't do it. Unless you're really into pain. But number two is if you're going to do it, start right now writing your jokes and start showing them to people, and start practicing in front of Spot if nobody else is there, and just start working on. 15 minutes of comedy is a long time.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a lot of material. So just start doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of the ultimate challenge because you've got the public speaking challenge, which is a huge challenge in and of itself, right? If you are out there and you haven't done public speaking, I've gotten to do a lot of it in my life. Fortunately, it's its own bear, right? It's its own challenge and obstacle. But then on top of that, being funny is a challenge, and like I feel like the best comedy is organic, right? Like it happens naturally, it's not forced. I always enjoy your sense of humor. It always comes up. Like you're never like trying to make people laugh. It's a part of who you are, and it's a part of your personality, and you've got great anecdotal approaches. In fact, it was funny, you guys didn't get to see this before the stream, but I was talking to Cass before the stream, and I messaged him, and I was like, hey, I'll be calling you probably like right before the stream. My wife and puppy got home a little bit early, and I spent the last hour getting my face licked. And then I immediately thought, I'm like, he's going to make a joke about that. Like, I got to clarify it was the dog that was licking my face. And before I could even type it in, Casper's like, what was the dog doing during that time? And I busted out laughing because I knew it was coming, right? I totally knew it was coming. But it was organic. Like, you don't force it. It's just a part of who you are.
As they say in the comic business, you set him up, I'll knock him down.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you're just being a straight man there. But yeah, I think it's great that KB wants to do that. I think that's an awesome goal. It's one I'm certainly not ready to take yet. Although, hell, we've been doing this for what, an hour and 45 minutes? I can't believe it. For an hour and 45 minutes. So maybe I will.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Well,
the next challenge is going to be writing something that's actually funny, and so that is the fear of comedians is dying. And people not laughing. There's nothing worse than going up there and you're supposed to be funny,
the awkward
and
silence.
Nobody's laughing.
Yeah. Because like in my public speaking, like when I used to travel and speak a lot, and I had a lot of success with storytelling. I could get people to laugh intently just by telling stories. But like to just go up and like one-liner people, like, oh gosh, I can't even imagine.
And when your story's done, you're going back to the PowerPoint.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But when your main job is to entertain people, that's a tough gig.
Yeah, it is.
Those guys earn their money.
Yeah, for sure. Are you planning on being out in Vegas this summer?
Well, summer's almost over.
This coming summer, sorry.
2019. 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the plan. We'll see what happens. I'll probably be out there in December timeframe. I almost every year I do a Christmas trip to Vegas around the holidays with two of my oldest friends, people I've known since third grade. It's not really a poker trip, but I usually sneak in some poker. I'll stay a day later or go a day earlier to play poker before, and then spend the time with the gang who don't play poker. So I'll probably do that. But yeah, I hope to be out. I'm kind of thinking in the back of my mind, my next WSOP trip probably won't involve any WSOP tourneys. I'll just play the events around town because there's just so much.
There's so much value.
Vegas is so great to be in during WSOP if you're a poker player, just because the ARIA daily tournament, if you do nothing else, is great value. I've final tabled that about 6 times. A few times during WSOP, just because there's twice as many runners there, which still only means there's only about 250, and and it's really soft. People are there to have a good time. The ARIA is my favorite poker room.
Yeah.
So and then just like there's the Planet Hollywood series, there's the Golden Nugget series, there's the Binion series, there's the ARIA series. There's just so much going on around there, plus cash games that that's probably right now. That's kind of the plan. My mind changes on a monthly basis. So talk to me in April, and I may be going, I'm going to fire the Millie Maker, and I'm going to fire the seniors.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely plan on being out there.
But a bucket list thing would be, I would love to play the main event.
For sure.
10K buy-in is just a little bit too steep right now.
For sure.
And I'd be uncomfortable selling too much action into that, just because I don't know that I would bring the value to investors yet. Although that's a soft tournament too, but it's a marathon. It is the ultimate large field that you have to get through to make the money. So I'm in awe of Carlos, getting in and actually cashing the first time he played it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on a bucket list for a lot of us, no doubt. But yeah, I hope you're out there. I plan on being out there. I have no idea how long I'll be out there, because it's going to depend on what I do in my bankroll between now and then.
We didn't get together this last time. I know we texted each other a couple times.
Oh, it was crazy. I had no idea what I was getting into.
There was only about a day of overlap for us. I mean, you would come in like the day before I was going to leave, or 2 days before, something like that. And I was playing tournaments, and you were playing tournaments.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a big town.
Oh, it's a big town, but I'm more prepared now. So I think if we're out there at the same time, we'll be able to connect, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person. And it's been fun. Like I said, all these interviews have been great. It's been great to talk with you and kind of go back through some of the old days, and everything was really cool. And,
I think that's a great thing you're doing. I mean, obviously you're doing a marathon, and you can't do that all the time. But I've enjoyed the interviews. I've enjoyed doing it. Like I said, you got me on for nearly 2 hours. I can't believe it. Although I do stream for 6 to 7 hours. So it's been great. I got real value out of the interviews. I hope people at least somewhat enjoyed listening to me ramble on.
Oh, I think it was wonderful. You were telling me it was going to be the worst of them all, and I don't agree at all. I think it was a lot of fun. We'll definitely have you on again sometime. And
I will say that, and I guess that's
I know you're being facetious, but
only partially. One of my life leaks has always been self-confidence.
Sure.
And, and it's been a conflict. I know I'm good enough to do everything I'm doing throughout my life. But still I have self-confidence issues. It's the weirdest thing. So.
It's called being human. I mean, it's part of. It's like the not liking the sound of your voice thing. Everybody hates the sound of their voice, and everybody nobody completely doesn't struggle with like self-identity and it's just part of being human. But no, this has been fun. We're looking at doing this maybe like as a once a week thing, ongoing, and so we'll definitely have you on again sometime, and maybe it'll be to talk about the your trip in December, or maybe we'll talk about Vegas in the future.
Next time I actually will be the grouchy old man. You never know.
Well, we'll take you in whatever form we can get you, buddy. Thanks again for coming on. So yeah, you're at twitch.tv/KasperGutman. People can follow you on Twitter at mledman, right? MLEADMAN.
It's Liedman, but I answer
Liedman,
both.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, you probably have gotten both.
Yes, throughout my life, half the people who first read my name have said Ledman instead of Liedman.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, cool. So thanks again, Kasper, for coming on, and I look forward to catching you on stream here in a couple days and weeks.
My pleasure. Time to fire up some tourneys.
All right, well, good luck today, buddy.
All right, guys.
All right, we'll see you.